Let's head west now, as we do every week, and talk to our man in the know. His name is Greg Hyde. Great to see you, Greg.
Oh, thanks, Meg. What a fantastic weekend. I'm sure every single expert's remarked about Anzac Round. It was fantastic to sort of see the socials throughout the weekend, seeing MVPs across the Anzac Round medal. So, no, absolutely exciting weekend and really excited to get into it.
Done superbly well, Anzac Rounds across the country, that's for sure. Now, we've been chatting about Willetton, the Tigers women, a lot over the last few weeks. Whitcomb has continued that W theme, but I want to talk about Alex Sharp because she is in very sharp form.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Meg. She's, I would say, the leading candidate for the MVP currently right now. I mean, you look at the result she had over the weekend in a pretty convincing win over Eastern Suns, who I guess they're a galvanised group. Tim Radulix, their coach, have recruited really well, but Willetton got an emphatic win in that regard. And, they dropped the very first game of the season, and since then, Alex Sharp's performance or her form has been absolutely sensational. Obviously, we spoke about Sammy Whitcomb; she's been incredible. But right now, Alex is third in scoring. In terms of averages, but Sammy Whitcomb leaves, so she'll take that second spot, and she's second in rebounding, and that's incredible figures for a young woman like herself. And certainly, she's a free agent right now. I know she's heavily sought across Australia and the WNBL, but Ryan Petrick would be pleased at looking at her form and seeing her grow throughout this NBL1 season.
Now, scarily enough, they've got an import to come into this team too.
Yeah, exactly right. They've got from my understanding, a European import to come in once their season gets done. And so, you're looking at what that roster looks like. They lost Amber Gandini over to Gold Coast in the off-season, and I think it was maybe a little bit of concern of what that looks like. But Desiree Kelly, who is an NBL1 vet, she's obviously continued her form. Samantha Lupke, who they had in the last couple of years, moved over to East Perth in the off-season. But to bring in an import at 4-1, we'll speak about the next three teams that are still currently undefeated, but really positive signs for that Willetton Tigers outfit.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Coburn didn't play at the weekend. They remain undefeated, but two teams are alongside them.
Yeah, Mandurah Magic and the Joondalup Wolves continue their rich form. Look, it was always going to be difficult for the teams that they played against. Both the Perth Redbacks and the Bunbury Slammers, who played against Joondalup, have won a game all year, young outfits. But Mandurah Magic had a pretty dominating win against the Prairie Lakes Hawks, who were missing Emma Clark, who, as we know, is an absolutely incredible player. But massive shout-out. Sarah Toina had a pretty good game, 24 points. But Kaysa Milovic, who's played about 1,000 games, it just got acknowledged as well. Not maybe acknowledged, but yeah, pretty close to it. But she's now the CEO of Mandurah. She's leading the league in assists, and they're undefeated. And so, look, it's pretty impressive when you look at grassroots sports and where they come from. For me, that's what she represents. I've had the pleasure of speaking to her many of times, and she's an inspirational, not just woman, she's an inspirational athlete and sports person in WA basketball or entirety of Western Australia. So incredible for them. But three teams remain undefeated. Obviously the Cougars didn't play last round, but in a couple rounds Joondalup and Coburn will go off, and one of those teams will obviously lose their first game of the season, and that's going to be a really anticipated matchup.
I'm penciling that in the diary, Greg. Can't wait for that one. And you're right about Casey. We had her on the show last year ahead of her milestone game, and just a terrific NBL1 story. She is a Wonder Woman in all facets of the game. Now, let's finish the women's action with two players who are big off-season recruits, and they're proving to be boom signings.
Yeah, and mentioned one of those earlier. Samantha Lubke, who has championship pedigree, moved over from the Willetton Tigers to East Perth Eagles, and there was a little bit of Not official statement, but last year some rumours that she was battling injuries, and now she's playing incredibly well alongside Madison Torreson, who's one of their other imports. And I also want to mention Maddie Allen, who previous WNBL player for the Perth Lynx and other teams, but was a Rockingham Flames player as well. They're a very intriguing lineup. I'm not going to lie. They've obviously recruited quite well. Those two players, Madison and Samantha Lubke, are averaging both 22 points in the season. Madison Torreson is averaging a double-double. They're at 2-2, so it's not like they're setting the world alight. But certainly for a team, as we all know, you're bringing in 3 new real prominent players. It's actually a very unique and hostile environment that East Perth Eagles play in. It's loud, it's raucous, and so if they can get a little bit of momentum building, it's exciting to see that from an organisation, because they have struggled in the past. But certainly, I think those two individuals would be going up there as some of the 2 best signings in this NBL1 West off-season.
Proving to be the case, that's for sure. Let's move on to the men's action, because Ryan Petrick, he coaches and he wins. He does it in the summer with the Perth Lynx in the WNBL, and he does it with Rocky in the winter, but with the men's program, and they've had a perfect start to the season. Yeah,
look, I'm sort of a little bit bitter here. Prior to the season, Ryan Petrick remarked that they're a better team, and I'm no longer playing, so I sort of was insulted in some way. But no, they are, no pun intended, extinguishing all opposition who they face. And they went again against their traditional rivals in Coburn Cougars on the weekend, or this round, beaten by 21 points. But has to be spoken about Devondrick Walker's form. Last year, he was the MVP, rewarded with a contract with the Brisbane Bullets in that NBL season. And he's improved. He is now still continues to lead the league in scoring, up from 28 points to now 31 points a game. He had a near triple-double on the weekend, or this round, and he's averaging 50 points, 50% from the three-point line. And that is ridiculous, from 58% from the field. And so for him last year, I mean, I would speak to players. I would say I'm the reason why he joined our team last year. I got a random message from him in one day asking for him to play with me for the Flames. He's gotten better, and that's surprising. Want to remark, though, Jeremy Combs, who was their off-season signing, Devondrick was the reason why he got there. And I asked him, how did that happen? He said he's never met him. The only way they met was playing NBA 2K throughout their time, and they always joked around saying we should play together. Funnily enough, now Jeremy is with the Rockingham Flames. He leads the league in assists. That's a success of Ryan Petrick's offense that goes through the 4 and 5 man, which we saw Lauren Scherf in the WNBL season. She was the beneficiary of that, right? So pretty crazy. They play Lakeside Lightning this week. And again, I think there's a grand final rematch in a few rounds, but they're potent. Marshall Nelson, Ryan Godfrey, you've got Travis Dernan, Justin Beard. That's 6 names that could be genuine stars on any other team.
Before we move on, Greg, I've got to ask you, is Devondrick Walker the best men's player in NBL1 in this country?
I think so. I marvel at, I think, you're looking at the signing in the off-season with Brisbane. I just don't think it was the perfect fit and role, but I think he's a genuine star. If I was an NBL team, I'd be looking at a guy that would be extremely cheap. Like, he's playing for Rockingham, I'm sure on good money, but compared to normal NBL1 standard contracts, I think that's a guy that they should be looking at. But no doubt, he's getting double teamed, triple teamed at times. I've watched games. His assist numbers went up, his points went up, his efficiency has gone up. Defensively, he's more sound. So it would be a hard case to argue that he's not arguably the best NBL1 player, not just in the West, but across Australia for sure.
He slid into your DMs to get to Rocky, so you've got to get a cut of that contract for sure. Let's move on, because I want to talk about winding back the clock. There was a man that did it at the weekend, and it was wonderful to see.
Yeah, Carl Armour, he's an NBL1 SBL veteran, right? He's started his years, I guess, as a 16-year-old with the Willerton Tigers and then transitioned to play Lakeside and then played for Mandurah Magic last year and now has come back to Lakeside. And I think he scored 31 points against Bunbury Slammers, who, people would say, well, that's an expected win, but they're a pesky group with some talented players. And for him to get that's games you're expected to win. And I would like to define it as a must-win game. You drop those games, you don't have those championship credentials. Where I don't see them fit, they're in that mid-category, but they got the second longest winning streak currently right now. 3 games in a row, they're sitting at 3-3, and they have a fantastic test this weekend against the Rockingham Flames to see if they're a genuine team. So, really good to see Kyle. We go way back. He had a couple of opportunities with the Sydney Kings way back when he was playing in the NBL. But to see him score 31 points, he would have been chuffed, and I'm sure he would have been enjoying himself immensely.
It was great to see. Can't wait for that big matchup this weekend. Let's finish with the Redbacks because we put a microscope on them last week. How did they come out and play at the weekend?
An emphatic win on at Joondalup Wolves at the Wolf Den. We spoke about it last week. If they want to be regarded as a genuine title threat, championship contender, they need to get those wins, and they did that. I think they limited the Joondalup Wolves to 9 points in the first quarter. Maurice Colton, who was a signing from Joondalup Wolves in the off-season, similar to what happened last week against Eastern Suns, he punished him. He was really good, and I love his game. He's a bit of a tweener, a bit of a utility Swiss Army knife that can do it all. But Tevin Jackson absolutely had a sensational game. They're building some games. Brian Voquel, Brenton Hobbs, 2 guys have come in, are playing consistently, but there's that both sides. The Redbacks are responding to the pressure of being considered as title threats. They're doing that. They're sitting at 3-2. Whereas Joondalup Wolves, are really, really struggling. Like, out of all clubs, I think they've had the greatest turnover in terms of players in the last 2 or 3 years. Pretty disappointing loss, 20 points on their home floor. Their women's team looks incredible. And the other side, their men's team, a lot of question marks around that outfit, and especially with all the signings. And when you make some big name signings like Brian Michaels, Mathiang Mio, Quinton Dove, you're going to get that pressure, and they're not responding. But I believe they'll certainly be there at the business end of the season.
You had the crystal ball out last week, Greg, and a few things came through. So we'll see what comes to fruition this weekend. Always great to catch up. Enjoy the weekend's action. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, mate. If I can get the lotto numbers in that crystal ball, it'll be sensational. But always a pleasure talking to you, mate.